Yesterday, February 5th at 10 a.m., the Erie County Department of Health was notified of a positive case of hepatitis A in a food service worker. Because this individual worked in food service, there is low risk of hepatitis A transmission for those who ate food prepared by this individual. However, the risk is not zero. The hepatitis A infected patient worked in food services at 2 locations. Start again. The hepatitis A infected patient worked in food service at 2 locations. The Brookdale Living Solutions Assisted Living Facility located at 6076 Main Street in Williamsville. Once again, that's the Brookdale Living Solutions Assisted Living Facility located at 6076 Main Street in Williamsville, as well as the Alley Oops Restaurant located at 5389 Genesee Street in Lancaster. Once again, Alley Oops Restaurant located at 5389 Genesee Street in Lancaster. At the Brookdale Living Solutions, we believe 35 residents, 40 staff members, and visitors are at risk of exposure. At Alley Oops, we believe approximately 311 customers who ate there are at risk of exposure. As a precautionary measure, the Erie County Department of Health will be providing post-exposure prophylaxis to individuals who may have been exposed and who will benefit from prophylaxis. Post-exposure prophylaxis will be offered at 2 locations. At the Brookdale, or for the Brookdale residents, staff, and visitors only those from Brookdale. They will be contacted directly and vaccinations will be provided on site. Individuals who ate at Brookdale between January 23rd and January 31st will also be eligible for vaccination. For Alley Oops Restaurant, the county will be holding a vaccination clinic tomorrow at the Bowmansville Fire Hall at 356 Main Street in Lancaster / Bowmansville from 3 to 8 p.m. And as soon as we leave and finish with this press conference, that's what these individuals are going to be due to setting up. Individuals who ate at or purchased takeout food from Alley Oops on January 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th are eligible for post-exposure prophylaxis at this clinic. Customers of Alley Oops who are eligible for post-exposure prophylaxis will be able to register for a time slot on the Erie County website later today via link on the front page at www.erie.gov. And we are asking people, if you believe that you are an individual because you either consumed food on premises or took it out during those days, you do register beforehand, so it makes it much easier. So we don't have everybody showing up at once, but you have slotted times. So once again, that's for individuals who ate at Alley Oops on January 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. Individuals who ate food at Brookdale between January 16th and January 22nd will not benefit from post-exposure prophylactics, but may have still been exposed. Individuals who ate food at Alley Oops between January 20th and 23rd will not benefit from post-exposure prophylaxis, but may still have been exposed. These individuals will not benefit from the post-exposure prophylaxis because of the date that they may have been exposed, but they should monitor their health for signs of hepatitis A, including signs such as tiredness, poor appetite, nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain and fever, followed by dark-colored urine, light-colored stools, and yellowing of eyes and skin. So what we are saying is if you ate at the Brookdale site between January 23rd and January 31st, or Alley Oops between January 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th, you're eligible for a post-exposure prophylaxis and a vaccine. If you ate between January 16th and 22nd at Brookdale, or the 20th through the 23rd at Alley Oops, you are not eligible for the post-exposure prophylaxis, but you may have been exposed. And therefore, it's very important that you monitor your health signs. And once again, if you have signs such as tiredness, poor appetite, nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain and fever, followed by dark-colored urine, light-colored stools, and yellowing of the eyes and skin, you may at that point have been exposed to hepatitis A, and you may actually have it yourselves. If you develop those symptoms, you should immediately call the Erie County Department of Health at area code 716-858-2929. Once again, that phone number is area code 716-858-2929. And I'll have the doc talk a little bit more about those symptoms as well as whether they would be showing at this point or not. Now, we believe there's a low risk of exposure, and it is low for most individuals, especially if you only ate one of these facilities once. But there is a risk of exposure. And while the risk is very low, it is unfortunately a risk that still exists. And as we've seen in the past, because we've had to deal with this in the past, we are standing ready to protect our citizens through a clinic. The clinic for those who were and ate or took takeout at Alley Oops, or to provide what would be considered a clinic on site at the senior facility of Brookdale. But because the unfortunateness of this exposure may have occurred far enough back in time that a clinic vaccine wouldn't work, we are advising those who may have consumed food from either Brookdale or Alley Oops during those periods that they could theoretically be exposed, and unfortunately their post-exposure prophylaxis won't work at this point. But we do want them to know that if they show any of those signs, they should immediately call our Department of Health so we can have them treated accordingly. This is something that I want to say, people are concerned about the restaurant. The restaurant had actually gone through just approximately at the end of January, our health department came out and did one of its usual inspections, and the restaurant came out with hardly any issues, as most restaurants do. Was rated very highly, no major issues, no reason for it to shut down. This is not an issue with the restaurant. We want people not to think that this is something as a result of the restaurant, but an individual who worked at the restaurant, who unfortunately is a food service worker, prepares food and therefore would have been touching food that would have been consumed by other individuals at the time when this individual had and showed signs of hepatitis A. So I don't want people to think that the restaurant didn't pass any health inspections. It did. It's just that one of their workers there, unfortunately, was showing signs of hepatitis A at these times that they were actually working in the restaurant, and therefore we have to go under the assumption that someone else may have been exposed to it, even if they have not. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Burstein to talk a little bit more about this and what we plan on do. And as I said, as soon as we'll take some on-topic questions, but then these folks have to leave because they've got to go and set up the clinic so that we can be ready for tomorrow. Doctor?
Thank you. Thanks. So I just want to reinforce that both the infected individual and the management of the two facilities have been extremely cooperative and very helpful in our investigation of this case. And I also want to emphasize, as the county executive did, that there is absolutely no continued risk of hepatitis A transmission by eating at either of these facilities. The risk has been removed. This individual is not working there anymore, and there is no further risk of hepatitis A transmission from eating at either of those two facilities. And as the county executive also mentioned, that at the end of December, the health department did one of our routine restaurant inspections, and Alley Oops came out with stellar scores. They had no violations and had excellent techniques for sanitizing and protective glove uses, and so we had nothing to report on in terms of any violations. Alley Oops is being re-inspected right now just to confirm that everything is working well, but we really have no concerns. As a licensed healthcare facility, the Brookdale Living Solutions is inspected by the New York State Department of Health, and they have a very good sanitary record that is documented. So we're also working closely with our partners in the New York State Department of Health in response to this case. And so I just want to give you a brief overview of hepatitis A virus. So hepatitis A virus is obviously, it's a communicable disease, it's a virus, and it does cause inflammation of the liver, which is hepatitis. It is a virus that is transmitted through fecal-oral transmission, and so people can be exposed and infected by eating contaminated food or water, or through sexual intercourse, or from being in close contact with an infected individual. Post-exposure prophylaxis with either the hepatitis A vaccine or with immunoglobulin, can be very effective for individuals who have been exposed to prevent infection. If you can catch it within that window while people were exposed, while the person was still shedding virus, but it has to be close enough to the exposure that the vaccine can still be effective. So that's why the people that ate at the facilities a couple weeks ago would not benefit from either the vaccine or the immunoglobulin, because if they've been infected, it's already happened, and we'd have to wait and monitor for symptoms that usually take about a couple weeks to develop. And there is no treatment for hepatitis A. Just people, it usually runs its course. Usually people don't have any, prolonged effects from the infection. There is a very, very small percentage of individuals who do contract hepatitis A who can become very ill, what we call fulminant hepatitis. But that's very rare. So usually it just, people feel very ill for a couple weeks, and it usually runs its course. So we feel very optimistic that, we can catch individuals who may have been exposed and protect them with either the vaccine or the immunoglobulin. Again, I just want to reinforce that for people who just ate at either of those facilities, once or twice, either in the facility or got takeout, the risk of exposure is very, very low. But we can't say there's no risk, so that's why we're offering people the opportunity to receive post-exposure prophylaxis.